Alright everyone, Heavy Lies the Head YouTube channel here. Week 2 of the NFL tonight, Thursday night football, Baltimore, Cincinnati. It's in Cincinnati. Got some DraftKings picks for you. I'm going to show you guys a little bit how I make picks on DraftKings, some of the system, and I'm going to give you my picks. There's a lot of people out there charging you for picks. These are totally free. I'm going to give you the teams, take a look at them. I'll give you those. In fact, right now, we'll start the video. You don't even got to watch the whole video. Here's 2 of my teams. I'm playing 3 teams tonight. I'm leaning heavily towards Baltimore winning. A few reasons for that. It's basically a straight-up game. If you look at the spread, it's a pick'em. Last 3 years, Baltimore's 10-5 in straight-up games. I was taking a look at Andy Dalton's stats playing against the Ravens in the last 10 games against the Ravens. He hasn't played real well. Flacco hasn't played great against the Bengals the last 10 games either, but it's been better. I think it's going to be a run-heavy game. I think there's going to be some surprises in there, so here's 2 of the teams. You see there, I got Justin Tucker as a captain. This is Showdown in DraftKings if you're familiar with it. It's not a classic style scoring, but they don't have a lot out there tonight. In the second lineup, second page, third lineup, I got Dalton in at captain. Nick Boyle. I think Nick Boyle's going to score at least 1 touchdown tonight. Maybe 2. That's my surprise pick. So, a little bit on how I got those picks. I got a spreadsheet here that I created. It's got a lot of information on it. This is all the quarterbacks. It's broken down into position further than this, but this is all the quarterbacks coming up week 2, some fantasy projections, and then some information here. Now, I haven't completed this yet for Sunday. I only did today, so this is just for tonight's games. But ultimately, what I did is I applied filters on the data, so I was able to go in here, tell it what game it was. I'm typing in at Cincinnati. And it tells me what quarterbacks are playing in that game. So once I have that data, I select them. It shows me, it limits me just down to those players. And it shows me that Dalton's projected to be the leading scorer tonight at quarterback. Flacco second, no surprise there. A few points for Lamar Jackson. And then I take that data and I move it onto this next sheet and I combine all the players that are going to be in tonight's game, or at least most of them who are expected to score some points, and even some I've got some extras that I normally would delete out of there. But basically you can see you've got AJ Green's projected to be the top scorer. There's a few other categories. There's the salary, and then this captain salary, which is, like I said, this is showdown mode on DraftKings. It's a little different. You have to choose one player who's your captain, and his salary gets multiplied by 1.5, and every point he scores gets multiplied by 1.5. So if you look at my lineups again, you can see one of them I have Justin Tucker designated as the captain, the kicker. So every point he scores is going to be worth 1.5, and he cost 1.5 times what he normally would. The advantage of using a kicker there is I was able to stack up on talent down here because I used a kicker as my captain, so it didn't cost as much when it's multiplied by 1.5. You're not going to get as many points probably, but I'm able to stack up on high scorers down here: Crabtree, Dalton, Flacco, and AJ Green. Over here I have Alex Collins as the captain. I think he's going to have a good night tonight. I think it's also possible that Dalton has a bad night. I think he might throw a few picks. I think The Ravens defense might do well. So we'll go back to the spreadsheet. If I can find it. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you got just the Baltimore and Cincinnati players. And beyond that, I look at things like, down here I've got a chart. Gives us some information on the spread. At the time when I took this, the line was Cincinnati +1, but I think now it's gone down to just straight up. You see Baltimore's 10-7 straight up, Cincinnati's 8-9. Not a whole lot of information there that I use, but a little bit. But what I do like to do is I go on to Pro Football Reference here, and I like to do it for a few different positions, depending on how I feel about different scenarios. But you can look at this is the last 13 games that Andy Dalton's played against the Ravens right here. You can see he's 7-6 the last 13 games, thrown for 15 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Not very good. If we want to see, we can look up how Flacco's done against the Ravens, or against the Bengals. Brings up Flacco. Stats for the last 19 games against the Bengals. And right here, he's 9-10 against the Bengals, not good. 19 touchdowns, 23 interceptions. Again, not very good. Neither quarterbacks played well against either team. I think the difference in this game is going to be the running game. I think that Javarius Allen and what's his name? The Ravens starting running back. Alex Collins. I think he's going to have a big night. I have him as one of my captains. So again, I'll show you the picks. We'll go through them a little bit more. I've got first lineup, I got Justin Tucker in as the kicker, Nick Boyle, Crabtree, Dalton, Flacco, and Green. That one's pretty heavy on, that one's got a nice mix of players actually. I think I made that one when I was a little unsure on how the game was going to play out. This one over here is much more leaning towards the Ravens. I've got Alex Collins as captain, Ravens D, Javarius Allen, John Brown, Flacco. I've only got one Raven on here, or one Bengal, Mixon. And the other one, a little bit of a mix, but again, pretty heavily towards the Ravens. I think it's going to be a pretty low-scoring game. I think it's going to be under the 44 the line's at, I think. It was last time I checked, so if you're betting that, if you're betting on the game, I would definitely take the Ravens. I would take the under on the line. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. A couple other stats that I think are important when I make picks are the points, the position. Let's see, the points against the position in the opposition's defense. So we got, for example, AJ Green here, the top guy. The format's a little goofy looking, but basically what it means is last week, wide receivers only scored 5 points against the Ravens defense. And the reason it's so low is they blew out the Bills like 47-3. Barely scored any points. They didn't do very well. So all across the board, the Ravens, that stat's a little inflated. So that one didn't do me a whole lot of good this week. But Normally, it is a very important stat in fantasy. Another example would be Crabtree down here. Poised to have potentially a good day. The Bengals gave up 20 points against receivers last week. You see right here. Crabtree is expected to be in the top 5 scorers. Bengals didn't do well against the defense, or against the position. That's one of the reasons I have Boyle in. Nick Boyle doing fairly well, even though he's low down on here, real low. As I think Hayden Hunt is out for the game. I saw that today. He was a game-time decision, but I think he's out. And the Bengals gave up 16 points to tight ends last week, so I'm hoping down in the red zone, Flacco throws a score or two to Nick Boyle. I get some surprise points. So that's a few different ways you can make picks. I got a lot of other picks coming up Sunday. Subscribe to see that. I'll show you the result of these picks and how well they do after the games tonight. Again, I think the Ravens are going to win. If you're picking it straight up, I'll put the lineups up one more time you can take a look at. If you're making picks on DraftKings. Thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe, comment what you think, comment your picks, any picks you've got, let me know. Thanks for watching.